Well, hello everybody. Haven't done a live video for a while. Wanted to say hello and talk about a topic that's important for you as you're looking at this career for the first time, or you might be a paralegal veteran watching this video. It's important for you too. Build your confidence and maintain your confidence and your mental health by dispensing with those toxic people, whether it be personally, whether it be family, friends, co-workers, in order to go forward. And then once you're in the job, that yes, there may be one toxic person there, and that you can tolerate it because your work doesn't overlap and they're just in their own cubicle or wherever, or it's an attorney that you don't work for and they're just toxic. You can deal with that. But when it impacts you personally, whether it be in your family, you might have a friend who likes to manage you. That can be pretty toxic. I've had at least 3 people in my life that are no longer in my life who tried to manage me. And those were friendships that formed, but they sensed I was a very quiet person, and they felt that they could just run the show and they could dump all their woes on me. That's okay up to a point, but that's not really a friendship. That's just somebody dumping. And so be very careful with some things I'm going to cover today, that you manage this behavior in yourself, number one. And don't allow other people to spew out their toxicity on you, okay? Now, we face this in law firms, but I faced it the worst time in my life was in a corporate job when I worked in a specific department. I won't mention where or what department. And I have never worked in a place where it was toxic like that, and sexual harassment against me, and you know, blowing the whistle on something like that by reporting it. You know, the managers don't handle they don't know how to handle it, or they won't. So, oh, thank you so much, Nancy. Yeah, it happens everywhere, right? Thank you for being here, by the way. So, let's talk about 4 different areas. 4, I can't even count today. We can be overly critical of ourselves. So, you know, if we grew up with people being overly critical, we can then do that to ourselves, and that's how we roll. But there's a cycle we can break. I had to break that. There was no support growing up. And even from other people in my life, zero support. It was all about them, very narcissistic behavior. Behavior it's always about them. That's a narcissist. So they cannot say anything nice. Why? Because it's insecurities in them, and the story has to be about them. So you will meet attorneys. If you've ever worked for doctors, you can meet people in that field. You can meet them anywhere. You can meet them in a corporate job that has nothing to do with medicine or law. It could be where I had an older vice president of a corporation where I worked in New Jersey, and this was a job I loved, and I didn't want to lose my job. But I became a single mom while I was at that job, and I got married later. But I became a single mom, and while I was off, and I was receiving disability pay for it was like a maternity leave for about, I guess it was 6 to 8 weeks. And then I returned to work. I paid into that system, by the way. So that VP made, you know, snarky comments about, look what we have to pay for. I went in there and I talked to him and I addressed it. My boss told me what he said, and I went in there, asked to talk with him, and I said, I just want you to know that you didn't pay for anything about my being home. I paid into this system because by that time I was in my early 20s. I had worked since the age of 16. So I was learning how to stand up for myself. And if you're not used to doing that, now's the time to start. Don't let the toxicity so infiltrate your life. It's time to handle confrontations nicely but firmly. And I had trouble. I learned how to do that. It took me a while. Number two, we blame ourselves for other people's unhappiness. First of all, you have a unique DNA, you have a unique purpose. God has a plan for your life that's different than anybody else's. It doesn't mimic your spouses, your significant other, your sister, your brother, anybody else. So when people start acting like they know what path you should take, that's between you and the Lord. They may see your gifts, and that's good to talk about. That's good to ask somebody that you can trust. What do you see that I'm good at? What is it that you notice? And that's not a haughty thing to ask. That's a good, honest question. And sometimes your friends, close friend that supports you, can tell, they see those wonderful things in you and you may not see them. But stop blaming yourself that somebody else isn't following their God ordained path or purpose. That's not your fault. And that's why there'll be criticism, because you are following it or you're trying to, and they're not. See, that becomes insecurity on their part. Number three, you're a people pleaser. It's time to say no. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say no to bad behavior. I've gone into an attorney's office, asked if I could just push the door to so it wasn't like being heard by everybody in the law firm, but I told him his behavior the previous day was unacceptable to me. And he was apologetic. Now some may not be, but I was going to address it. I got some coaching on that, but I was going to address that. And it not be a like crazy confrontation, but I was going to talk about it and get it out on the table. Now for me, my days were numbered privately in that place, because I wouldn't do that again. He was screaming the day before, and it was his own fault. He thought he told me to do some things. He did not. I had my legal pad there ready to go. I had all the notes on it dated, and he didn't tell me to do those things. I had a whole host of things I was working on. So no, I'm no longer a people pleaser. I waved bye-bye to that toxicity, including in my church. It's okay to say no. Yes, even in church. And it doesn't make some people happy. Bye-bye, toxic people. And I don't mean bye-bye church. I still go. But I will not have anybody like that controlling me. Number four, you repeat their words to yourself over and over again. So they said something that was out of line, and now you're thinking about it. It affects you. It's like a worm inside your head. And I've had that personally from my parents and in my marriage, and put the kibosh on it and just had a flat out honest talk and said, that's it. No more of that. Take it elsewhere, but please don't inflict it on somebody else. I couldn't say that to my parents without sounding disrespectful, but I did have a heated debate with my mother over things she was saying, and I refused to accept that those lies, and that changed our relationship for the better. But it took 6 months of her dealing with her own issues for her to come to understanding that if she didn't stop that bullying and that nonsense, that our relationship is kaput. Seriously. Because there's no reason to take that. You can love somebody because they're your parent or your spouse, but you have to, or your employer. You may like them as an employer, but they have a failing in this area where they're going to be emotionally abusive. That's a big failing. That's huge. And it's unacceptable. Hold on, guys. It's unacceptable behavior. So those are the 4 things that will build your confidence. They may shake you up when you first start addressing them. Not well, I have a conscious effort every day. I don't know about you if you face this. If you do, comment. It really helps other people when we just say what we're dealing with. I will be driving down the street, have some good music on, and I'll be thinking these negative things or having an argument out loud with somebody that's not even in the car. And I'll go, what? Okay, got to stop. And I have to focus on the positive, good things that have happened. It seems that, there is a force that wants to take me into the negative. So, and it's not God, let me tell you. So I will be overly critical of myself. I will be negative. And when somebody starts to spew negative self-talk, I stop them in their tracks. I say, don't even talk to me about things like that. Because it is to get inside your head. It is to be obnoxious. And at work, if somebody was overtly like that, we have to ask ourselves, why are we putting up with it? If it's going to impact us, even when we leave the workplace, it's not worth it. Not worth it, not worth it, not worth it. That means it's time for another workplace, but it's time to learn how to do the interview in a better way, as best you can, so that you can ferret out what the true, real behaviors are, so that you can catch and see any red flags. So I go over some of these questions to ask. So you can watch body language in an interview in my course, Paralegal Inner Circle class. That's launching in May. So go to my website, paralegalcoffeetalk.com, and check it out. It's the Paralegal Inner Circle class info off to the right on the website, and you can get on the wait list, okay? But these are really important. It doesn't matter what workplace you're in. I learned how to handle confrontation at that corporate job in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when we lived in Oklahoma for 16 years. We lived there and raised our kids there. And then we moved to Florida. I learned how to handle sexual harassment at my place. I also knew that if they protected the person that did that, was trying to do something, then, I wouldn't be staying there. And I was trying to hang on to a job just because of my pride. And I had been a stay-at-home mom for 7 years, and I had owned my own business for 4 years of a veterinary. And I didn't want to lose this job, but I had to wave bye-bye to it because it wasn't healthy to remain there, psychologically or physically. It all starts to affect you. So really take care of you. And if you're doing any of these things, the way to build your confidence is to stop this, is to stop it. And you have to make that concerted effort. You have to be totally aware when you're doing it, where I'll just do it automatically and start arguing with someone in my head, and I've got to stop. And I realize, now I'm realizing how much I was doing it. So I hope this was helpful to you today. If it's time to make a change, but do it the right way where it benefits you, and don't keep staying in that pit, because it might be time to wave goodbye to those toxic folks. Okay? All right, so have a great day. Have a good weekend. Good evening tonight. If you're going somewhere, enjoy yourself, or have a relaxing weekend if possible, and do something for yourself. And think about what I've said in this video. Okay? Have a good one, and I'll talk to you in the next live. Bye.